Today's conversation is not for the woman who's casually thinking about entrepreneurship someday. This is for the woman who built the career, the woman who gave decades to the company, the title, the deadlines, the pressure, the performance reviews, the sacrifice, the woman who became known for being the one who could handle all of it. And now something feels different. Maybe your company's restructuring. Maybe AI has you paying attention. Maybe you're quietly realizing that your identity became wrapped up in a role that may not exist forever. Or maybe you're sitting there realizing that if everything changed tomorrow, you're not exactly prepared for what comes next. And that's what we're talking about today, because this is an episode about Plan A and what happens when it disappears.
One, two, three, four.
I'm Suzette Cotto, founder of Innovate Launch. Welcome back to the Launchpad Pod, episode 9. This is a worst case scenario for women in a corporate career. Let's get into it. You're an accomplished woman in the C-suite or a leadership role. You've got plaques on the wall, crystal awards sit on your bookshelf, the results speak for themselves. You built something meaningful, but somewhere along the way, many women built careers without building visibility outside of them. No digital footprint, no positioning, no audience, no personal brand, no infrastructure outside the company itself. Because in corporate America, your reputation walks into the room before you do, until one day it doesn't. And that's the dangerous part nobody wants to talk about, because companies disappear, leadership changes, and industries evolve. And technology, it's disrupting everything. And sometimes Plan A vanishes before you emotionally catch up to the fact that it's gone. I want to share with you something that really stayed with me recently. I went to see my motivational muse, Mel Robbins, on her Let Them tour. Now, if you don't know who Mel Robbins is, she's one of the most recognized motivational voices in the country right now. And she opened up with a question that honestly hit the room like a brick. What does your life look like in 5 years if nothing changes? Not if everything goes perfectly, not if you finally get recognized, not if they promote you, if nothing changes. And then she introduced something called the Odyssey Plan from Stanford University. 3 plans. It's your current path, a version if that path disappeared, and a completely different direction you've never seriously considered. And I thought that's the conversation women over 40 need to start having, because most women I know never intentionally chose Plan A. We inherited it. We followed the safe path. We built the career. We stayed loyal, performed, and delivered, and eventually became the only future we could see until life interrupts it. Mel shared a video she recorded for herself at 52 years old on her birthday. No makeup, no stage, no audience, just her talking honestly about where she was emotionally. And what struck me was this: even she got blindsided. Success did not protect her, visibility did not protect her, recognition did not protect her. Her plan A disappeared too. And listening to her describe that season, the pajama days, the paralysis, the uncertainty, I think every woman in that room saw herself somewhere in that story. Because at 20, starting over sounds like an adventure. At 52, with mortgages and college tuition and aging parents, responsibilities, and decades invested into a career, that feels terrifying. And that's why this conversation matters. Not to scare you, but to prepare you. Because we insure everything financially in our lives. We have health insurance, car insurance, home insurance, disability insurance, and we have our money protected by the FDIC. But very few women prepare for a professional disruption. And we should, because disruption changes how clearly you think. When you're on the ledge emotionally, you react instead of strategically planning. And I know this because I lived it. Back in the early 2000s, during the internet tech boom, I was recruited away from a position that was already successful. I moved from Texas to Seattle with my 7-year-old son for what felt like the opportunity of a lifetime. I doubled my salary. I got a huge compensation package, senior management role overseeing 8 states. And at the time, WinStar Wireless was exploding. We were building something massive before AT&T, Verizon, and Sprint became what they are today. And I was one of the very few women leading at that level. I earned that seat. And then almost overnight, everything collapsed. The tech bubble burst. I was asked to lay off my department, 40 people. And then eventually, I was out too, without a severance, without a roadmap, and no safety net. My stock options collapsed almost overnight. And I remember standing there realizing something had changed me permanently. Everything I thought was protecting me wasn't. That wasn't a pivot moment. That was a ledge. And when you see yourself standing on a ledge emotionally, you're not dreaming creatively. You're trying to survive. And that experience never left me. Even years later, when my business was growing 30% year over year, I still remembered what it felt like to be blindsided, which is exactly why I built Innovate Launch, because I had this gut feeling years ago that women over 40 were going to need something different. Not another motivational quote and not another influencer screaming about a 6-figure month. They needed a framework and a strategy and a way to intentionally build visibility, infrastructure, positioning, and community before they needed it. Because AI is changing everything, and I need women to understand this clearly. This is not a trend. This is not a temporary shift. This is another seismic disruption moment. Roles are changing. Search behavior is changing. Hiring is changing. Visibility matters now. Your LinkedIn profile is not just a resume anymore. It's leverage. What shows up when somebody Googles your name? And if that answer is not much, that's not protection. That's invisibility. You don't need to panic, but you do need a plan. You need an exit strategy. You need a transition strategy. You need a visibility strategy, a preparation strategy, because this is not about starting over. This is about preparing before life forces you to. And that's the real question I want to leave you with today. What are you building right now that will support you when things change? Because they will. The only thing we really control is whether we prepare intentionally before that moment arrives. If this conversation grabbed you, then you're exactly why I built Innovate Launch. Not to sell you anything, and certainly not to pressure you into becoming someone else. I'm doing this for the new female entrepreneurs who want to get to market fast and not waste time figuring it all out with chat prompts and Google searches. I'm helping women build something that belongs to them, a strategy, a foundation, a community, and a future that's intentional instead of reactive. My friend Mel said, "You don't need a crisis to make a change. Don't wait for one." If you're ready to stop relying only on plan A and start building visibility and infrastructure for what comes next, I want to invite you into the Innovate Launch community. The link is in the podcast description. You'll also find my events and where I'll be next, live or online. Inside the community, you'll find foundational resources, trainings, conversations, and women who are walking through the same season of reinvention together. So listen to me when I say, age has never defined me. Gender has never defined me. Do not let them define you either. I'm Suzette Cotto, founder of Innovate Launch. I see you, I support you, and I want you to be successful. And I'll see you on the inside. Take care. You're in a